at long last, we have Janine and Tom back again. You guys, these are your favorite guests, and I don't blame you. They're my favorite guests as well. I love hearing the news from them because they get the real news from the divine sources. So I am going to actually pass this over to Tom right now because we have some really exciting headlines to show you guys that refer back to the last episode we did with Tom and Janine that prove Tom and Janine knew what was going on long before everybody else did. So Tom, take it away.
Well, thanks, Bryce. Hey, Janine, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you guys.
Okay, I'll go straight into that. But just before, it's just something I realized in the last, I don't know, today, maybe early this morning. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who's a really, he's a real warrior. And I've been really impressed with him recently and seen more of what he's saying. So I did the numbers on Ron DeSantis. And Ron, if you're listening, thank you for your great service, sir. So Ron comes to 47, which comes to John, which comes to Sarah, comes to atomic silver, comes to time. DeSantis, DeSantis, comes to 91, which comes to POTUS, also comes to Space Force, comes to Future, comes to Liberty. You add those together, so Ron DeSantis, 47 plus 91, comes to 138. 138 comes to revaluation, and it comes to Donald Trump. And it comes to the pyramids, which we're going to mention a little bit later. And it also comes to Dome of the Rock. And it also comes to Turnstile, which is something in the Christopher Nolan films about time reversal and time travel that we're going to talk about as well. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Ron. But his numbers, Ron DeSantis comes to 138, Donald Trump. So I thought that was really interesting because he's fully behind President Trump and the White Hats. But what...
And he taught
what
at my
Bryce
high school.
Sorry, Bryce?
He was a teacher at my high school.
There you go.
Governor DeSantis, yes. So, hi, Mr. DeSantis.
There you go.
No.
So he's looking out upon all of us. And also, the big man, number one, Sir President Donald John Trump. Hello, sir. It's an honor to shout out to you today. So he has been watching. I know he's been watching us for a while, and he always is able to confirm that. And we're going to do some the Q proofs. So when President Trump would proof that he would prove the 17 the drops.
Yep.
He's doing that similarly with digital soldiers, and he made a beautiful reference to our last episode. There's a clip with President Trump. So we did our last episode maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Actually, no, I think it's the first one. Might have been the first one. But President Trump hasn't been speaking as much in the last few weeks and months, but he has been recently. He's been doing stuff on Fox News, which is interesting. And he did an episode with Harris Faulkner. And there's a clip in there, and Bryce is going to show it briefly for you, Janine, and the audience. But what he does is, do you remember we asked the question about Piers Morgan?
Yep.
So we asked whether Piers was good. I'd been suspecting through the numbers and feeling and intuition that Piers was working for President Trump, and you confirmed it 100% in the last reading. And since then, there's been articles. Piers Morgan did an episode with Tucker Carlson, and he talked about 17 unanswered questions in regards to Meghan and Harry. It was also featured in the newspapers here in England. Bryce might have a copy, or she might put that into the video.
I'll insert it into the video, yeah.
There's a copy. It says Piers 17 unanswered questions with Meghan and Harry. But going back to our episode that we did, President Trump has confirmed things that a lot of us have been doing. I know he confirms the things I do. He's mentioned before. He said great job numbers, and then he's done a personal Easter egg reference shortly thereafter. But this one. Bryce is going to play the clip, but he mentions Morgan and he mentions Tom side by side, and then he refers to Tom Holman, who's the Tom that he's talking about. But remember, 5-dimensional communication is talking about many things at once. Yep. So we'll let Bryce and the audience hear it, and then we can talk about it. But he's basically given a shout out and a thumbs up to all of us. So
here we go, guys. Can y'all hear it?
Somebody remembered. And fortunately, we have guys like Morgan and Tom, how good. I mean, we have such professionals, Tom Homan. We have such great professionals. I watch them on your show. They really know their business, and they're not involved in this. They have people that have no idea, but they build.
So
there you go.
So I hope you guys heard that. We were thinking about putting the video in, but because of copyright strikes, I'm just going to play it. I hope y'all heard that. He said Morgan, he confirmed Morgan and Tom. So he obviously had watched the show we did where we talked about that with Janine and Tom. And I know that I've heard from other people that Mr. 45 will give kind of a wink sometimes at some of us who are trying our best to wake people up. So good job, Tom and Janine.
Hey, I'm Bryce.
Trump knows who we are. So
That's fun.
all right. So that's so cool. So anyway,
were you able to hear that okay, Janine?
I could hear it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to the playback too and make sure it's clear for the audience. So that gives you guys, like, as Tom said, we're moving into a 5-dimensional world. It's not going to be communication. That was pretty clear when you hear it, when you know what you're listening for and what to listen for with number 45 doesn't just speak.
Yeah.
Speak. He's very clear with what he says. And I think Tom's proven that in a lot of the breakdowns of the gematria. All right. So shall we get cracking on some of the stuff that's happening? So much has happened today. So Tom, why don't you go first? Do you want to ask anything about?
Okay. So some things that came to mind, Janine, is in regards to the higher dimensional stuff, some of the off-world things. So, for example, I did the numbers on this. Also, another one as well. I mentioned just at the beginning, I said 91, DeSantis comes to POTUS, and POTUS comes to Space Force. And also POTUS comes to the Father. So the is 33, Father's 58, which is Nasara, which is Ivanka, which is Star. But you add those together, it comes to 91, which is the Father, which is POTUS. So I was looking at this a bit more, and I looked at the numbers on Mothership. Okay, the Mothership. I've heard people say that the Mothership is the New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem comes to 146, which is Ivanka Trump, which is also connected to President Trump's date of birth. So his date of birth is 14/6. So 14 June, 146, which also is New Jerusalem. And I've heard that the Mothership is synonymous with that. Some people might disagree. That's okay. But that's what we're going to talk about for right now. So Mothership comes to 131, which actually comes to John F. Kennedy. And at the end of Back to the Future 3, the end of the trilogy of the films, the train that is racing across to the ravine before they time travel to get back to 1985, because they're in 1855. Yeah. 1885, I beg your pardon. The train has the number 131. And it's a reference for a lot of things. So, for example, Steve Bannon is 131. Gary Gensler, dealing with the SEC Commission and XRP and Ripple and stuff, is 131. James Caviezel, the actor who played Jesus Christ in Passion of the Christ, is 131.
Oh, we lost you, Tom.
Oh.
Lost face.
Back again. Are we back again? There you go. So 131. Michael Pompeo comes to 131. There's a lot of numbers on the board that are very important in regards to 131, and a lot of people that tally with that number. But Mothership comes to 131. So the thoughts I had on that was in regards to President Kennedy, the original JFK, because if you look further at the numbers, so you do the New Jerusalem comes to 179, and if you do President JFK, well, President John Fitzgerald Kennedy comes to 343, which comes to Jupiter and Saturn conjunction that we had back on the 21st of December. So we had Jupiter, which is 99, which is Patriot. It's also Judgment. It's also the age of Philip today that's been announced.
Oh, yeah.
Saturn, 93, Flotus, Kingship, Nazareth, Bushnell. Add those together. So if you do Jupiter and the ampersand, which is JFK as well, it used to be the 27th letter of the alphabet, but if you do Jupiter and Saturn conjunction is 124, which also comes to gigawatts, I should say, comes to James Woods. We did a great episode with Charlie the other day, myself and Bryce on that. and also comes to New Jersey as well, where technically the Statue of Liberty resides. And I think that Manhattan skyline stroke New Jersey is a big piece on the board. But when you do all of that, comes to 343. So Jupiter, ampersand, Saturn conjunction comes to 343, which is President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. So I'm wondering, my question to you, Janine, is JFK, original JFK, and perhaps some of his family as well, Junior and Bobby, Princess Diana, others that have been kind of out of the public sight for a while. Is JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, or JF Kennedy 131, is he connected to the New Jerusalem, the mothership? Is there something there in that? That's what my question is. It seems to point that in terms of the numbers, and people might have different thoughts and understanding on things, and I get that. We don't know all the truth of everything, but I wanted to ask that question in regards to perhaps, is he part of that? Has he been residing there? Have others been residing there? Kind of
Off-world.
The witness protection program. Have they been off-world? Because you talked about perhaps Diana in one of our episodes may have been off-world at some point. So I wanted to ask that.
Aces are yeses. So the first card pull was a yes. So
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah. But they're almost finished their time there. So they're running out of time there. Like that card says, it's been really hard.
Yes.
They've had it's been a hard go. They're about to become more public.
Awesome.
So
That
senior
part-
will as well as junior.
Yeah.
So basically, senior's been off world because we know there's very weird things given his death.
Yeah.
But has junior been off world, or has junior been here on our world this whole time?
Well, they were off world. Whoever was off world was, because this is the background, for practical reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was a practical choice. It wasn't their choice. That was hard. So you asked, was junior. I'm actually getting part of the time anyway, because we got another yes, and we got another, and this is weird because it's the moon. So this is affirming something. I wonder if it was he was on a moon or the moon or I
Right.
don't know. It's kind of interesting.
That's very interesting.
We've got the moon there. And,
That's very interesting.
Yes to the question.
Moon as well comes to 57, which is George, Hello George, for Junior's magazine. And you've got that great piece with the lady kind of saluting, and it's Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
Rushmore comes to 117, which also comes to market crash. If you do Mount Rushmore, comes to 200. Mount is 83, which is prayer, which is faithful. It also comes to Mount Rushmore comes to 200, but also comes to Westminster Abbey. If you do 200, 258, 174, add those two together, comes to 132, which is Princess Diana. Another one I should shout out when I'm looking at my T-shirt. A friend of mine, Miss Moneypenny, sent me this. 217 comes to Tom Sidney Bushnell, comes to Houses of Parliament, and it also comes to the Princess of Wales. So thank you for that. But that's so fascinating, Janine, that JFK 1 popped up and it was a yes.
Yeah.
It was immediate yes. That's really, that's very on point.
So I don't know if we know that the Prince Philip died today. I know Janine Aspal, you're going to be doing an episode later on that, but right before I jumped on, I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a famous rapper, DMX. I'm not into rap music, but he also passed away today as well. And he's big in the rap industry. And I don't know, I just saw it before he moved up, DMX, and they're saying that he got the cure. And then he's no longer with us. But they're blaming it on a heart attack. But people are saying he got the cure.
Right.
So I'm not really into rap music, so I don't know much about this person. But can I ask, and I guess while Janine, if you read, I guess Tom, you can look at the numbers, but can we read him to see if he is good or bad, this rapper, and if this was a by the White Hats?
Okay, so I do like rap music.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
But
Someone knows.
he said, I know I'm a weird old lady, let me tell you.
No, it's not someone knows.
Oh my goodness, okay? Biggie Smalls, I love it. Okay, so so I was just listening to the fellow you're talking about on an old school playlist yesterday. So that's really interesting.
And now I want to just check and make sure I got the right name. It was DM. Yeah. Hold on. While you're looking that up, I will Google him quickly. Yes, it's DMX.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's really old school.
Okay, I'll have to listen because I'm not, like I said, I'm not into rap. So, but I thought that was interesting. The exact same day as Philip.
Marvin Hagler as well. He died a few weeks ago, and he had as well.
Didn't somebody else passed away today? That was really interesting, wasn't it? One of the richest fellows in the UK.
Oh wow! Isn't this so ironic?
His house got broken into, and he got taken off the earth plane in a violent way, supposedly.
Wow.
Interesting.
A huge billionaire. Yeah, so that I thought all of that was really interesting. So we got a yes again. He was on the bad side.
Okay.
He was part of the bad crew here. Unfortunately, that's unfortunate. But I think a lot of the really famous people, unfortunately, they don't really get where they are
without compromising themselves.
Had some dabbles.
Yeah.
And they either escape but most of them don't escape is what I get. They don't escape once they're in there because they'll get them somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless they do something like maybe what they say Michael Jackson did. He escaped, faked his own death or whatever. And so they're saying these things. I don't know if that's true or not yet. I guess time will tell.
Right. Now with DMX, was he taken out or was it just an accident?
He was fighting his programming and didn't want to be he was seeing that he was on the wrong side of this war. So that sounds like let's literally ask if he was taken out, because that's not a yes, but that sounds pretty suspicious.
And now the question is, was he taken out by the good guys or bad guys?
I'm asking, how did he actually leave? What circumstances? So so he didn't plan it. It wasn't planned by him, which sometimes they do, right? Mm-hmm. So the actual circumstances of his death are being covered up. So whatever they said, it was probably not true.
They said it was the heart, but then other people are saying it's this. So.
Okay, that actually looks like the good guys. That's interesting. So he was a captured person, it looks like.
Yeah,
so they're
that
just
makes sense.
And I feel like he actually left a while ago.
Oh,
so
really?
They look like they're covering up for, you're not going to be seeing them going forward.
Isn't it interesting that they're releasing this all on the same day?
Yeah, really weird. Really weird.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a signal, though.
I would happen to.
There's a signal in regards to today's date. There is a signal. There's a few signals, but one of them that maybe not as immediately as apparent to people is so April the 10th. April the 9th. Today's date. April is 56. There is 33. 9th is 65, which comes to Florida, comes to number 7, comes to Andrew, comes to Prince. So we had Prince Philip today. 9th also equals Prince. But if you do those together, April the 9th, it comes to 154. 154 comes to Great Bitter Lake, and that's been a focal point for the last couple of weeks now, maybe 10 days or so, actually in the lake. Comes to the word, the revelation. It also, on a positive note, I did an episode last weekend about Princess Diana. I was down at Kensington Gardens, and there's a pond. I called it a lake because lake comes to 29. You got Great Bitter Lake, but it's technically called Round Pond, or the Round Pond, which comes to 154. But Lake also comes to 29, which is Diana. Also Calm, I think Calm Before the Storm. But also 154 comes to Queen of Hearts, which is one of the names that the public like to refer to her as. And also 154 comes to our good friend Tarot by Janine. So again, you've got all of this happening, you know. So you've got the dark side of it, but you've also got the good side of it.
Yeah.
And so it's quite appropriate that we're doing the episode today, 154, which actually does technically equal April the 9th. So yeah, they're signaling all the time, you know. They are signaling, and I did the numbers on Queen of Hearts with Diana just 5 or 6 days ago, and then now it pops up again, 154, and Philip parses publicly on that day, you know. So
on the numbers that add up, that's because we know that they had a lot to do with her demise, right? The Queen of Hearts. Yeah.
And the word publicity actually equals 117, interesting enough, which comes to market crash, and it also comes to Rushmore. So Mount Rushmore, Hello George, that magazine, which is interesting. And that bit that you'll put in the video, Bryce, Piers Morgan, 17 unanswered questions with Harry and Meghan. And it says publicity shy couple, because that's how they've been referred to.
Yeah,
right.
You know, but publicity 117 does come to Rushmore, and I think there'll be something magnificent there at some point with Rushmore.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the good guys coming out, something I wanted to ask you both is about Mike Lindell and his statement. They kind of moved the goalpost a little bit to August. And Mike, have y'all heard this yet with Mike Lindell, the pillow guy?
No.
So Mike Lindell was the guy who he owns My Pillow.
Yeah.
He's the one that put out a lot of information. I'm trying to be careful about what I say about the shenanigans that happened last fall.
Yeah.
And he said now that we should expect a triumphant return by August. So a lot of people are really disheartened by this because it feels like the goalpost keeps moving. Part of me thinks this is a strategy of distraction.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask both of you, Janine, what your cards say about that.
Yeah.
And also, Tom, if you have any numbers on August and Mike.
Okay.
Or Pillow. There could be something in here because he's known by his pillow. You know, My Pillow is his company. We know that the good guys have to put fake stuff out too, this is war. We're in a war.
He might have been given that information, but I feel like it's a misinformation. He might actually believe he was given good information though. So I don't necessarily get he's speaking misinformation knowingly.
Yeah, his intentions are good.
He literally thought that was good information, so he's just sharing what he knows.
Yeah, that was what my gut told me, that this is a war tactic.
That card comes up and that's misinformation. So that's, and also this card was above it. So this card is about hidden agendas and things, underneath this guy's cloak. You know, depending on how it's aspected, but this guy's all about hidden things and hidden agendas, and there's a sneakiness to him. That King of Cups, if he's badly aspected, which he is with this card underneath. So it gets trickier with that card.
Okay.
Interesting.
So yeah, I think,
August.
But he thinks it's true. He thinks what he knows is he's just sharing what he knows. So I don't think he knows for sure that was misinformation.
Right. Okay, that was kind of what my gut was telling me too. And we've seen so much going down that it's like, I think we're almost there. So
That's interesting. August is interesting though. I mean, when things come out, I see this kind of this transition to greatness, as POTUS says. I could see it going all the way through to September. And when I say September, I mean in terms of just certain things happening. Hopefully he's in office way before then. But you asked about August. I mean, I'm hoping, we could see major things maybe in this next week or two,
Tomorrow, yesterday.
That would be amazing. But we don't, but again, they have all these routes, they have all these possibilities. But I do see something important in August. August 29th comes up in the films, in the Terminator films, pull the plug, etc. So they make a point of that date. But it also could mean other words and other dates when you do the numbers on it. But one of the ones that does come up is August 14th, which is a Saturday, if I remember rightly. August is 89. 14th comes to 132. But when you add those together, it comes to 221, which comes to the Greatest Showman. And I've got a thought on that President Trump, there's going to be lots of great reveals and great shows, and because it's just going to keep ascending. We're going to keep getting higher and higher into the good stuff. So I'm looking, perhaps it could be something really amazing and revealing around that time. But I think there'll be lots of reveals before then as well. I do. But just when you asked about August, it's like I've noticed that date for a while, and it's like, okay, 221, the Greatest Showman. Is that to do with resurrection? Is that to do with the mothership? Other great, the Greatest Showman. So we'll see what perhaps may come then, but I think there'll be really big and major things before then. Yeah,
I'm getting the universe doesn't want to reveal it.
Interesting.
So
okay, I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, it feels like it's all cloaked. Every time I'm looking, it says, "Don't worry about it. Just never mind. We're not going to talk about it."
Okay. So maybe we should zip it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like it doesn't. I guess certain things we don't get to know. We just have to pay attention at that time, and then something really cool is going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's there's stuff that's still going to be revealed that's going to shock even people like us who are not shocked by much anymore. I'm sure there's still going to be something we're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, totally.
So what's
Can you see that? That's an amethyst I got sent from
I love
Miss
it.
Moneypenny as well. But amethyst comes to 111.
Wow.
That's a great
which is New York, which is perfection, which is Londinium. But yeah, New York always pops into my mind when I think of the good things. So there were some other things here, Janine. So I watched your episode a few days ago, which was great, about the whole stuff around Egypt.
Oh yeah.
With the moving of the mummies and how you saw that
wild?
That was actually a really good thing, a changing of things. A friend of mine, actually, if you're listening, Huna, shout out to Huna Flash. So he and I spoke about, if you go back to the ceremony of the Super Bowl at the beginning of February, and it looked like a dark thing, kind of like you were saying initially, Janine, with the Egypt stuff. It looked on the surface like a dark thing, but you realized through the cards and your understanding that it was actually good. It was a reversal of things. He expressed how there was a big reversal taking place at the Super Bowl at the beginning of February, and how it was actually reversing things. And Super Bowl actually comes to 131 again, which is John F. Kennedy, the mothership. But some of the things that popped up in regards to that when I was watching it was, so going back to Great Bitter Lake, Lake is 29, which is calm, but it's also Diana. And just across on the western bank, on the western shore of Great Bitter Lake, you've got a town or a city called Fayed. It looks like it's got a little airport. I don't know how big. I haven't been to Egypt. But Fayed made me think of Dodi Fayed. Interestingly, Fayed comes to 41. And the DMX, the numbers you just mentioned just a few moments ago, Bryce, comes to 41 as well. 41 also comes to King, comes to Alien, comes to Good, comes to this year, 2021. 20 plus 21 is 41. TSB, my initials. There's a lot of things with that. But Fayed, so Dodi Fayed, Dodi comes to 32, which is one of the names Jim, but add those together, comes to 73. 73 comes to Egypt. 73 comes to children. Also comes to Joseph, like Joseph in Egypt, the whole thing of the Technicolor Dreamcoat. But it also comes to obelisk. Obelisk, that whole, Egypt is famous for obelisks. And it was interesting that when you were talking about all the, the symbolism and the ceremony of it all there. And the other thing to remember is the pyramids comes to Donald Trump, comes to 138, comes to Ron DeSantis. if you do the pyramid, just singular, comes to 119, which comes to Nikola Tesla. It also comes to redemption. Wow. And so it was really fascinating to listen to your episode, Janine, when you were talking about, no, this is really good. This is a good, great thing. You know, there's some ritual, and they put a lot of effort into it. They spent obviously finance on it, and they showed the world, and it seemed like it was preparing for what is to come, you know.
Yeah.
But I thought the numbers were fascinating on it, and your understanding and looking in on that. Is there anything else that's come up in regards to that since?
And as she reads, guys, I will attach that episode that Janine did down in the description box below in case you missed it.
Yeah.
It looks like it was a karmic necessary time. So they chose the date and everything really carefully. Was known about for a really long time. So this whole thing that's going on has been so many people in the background, good and bad, preparing for this clash. This has been known about for this war, this spiritual war. Okay, so it was an ending to something, putting an end to something and a closure. So like a vortex closure, closing off something. It felt like taking them from somewhere and putting them somewhere else was like closing something for good, closing down some energy. There's a lot of anger and upset on the bad guy's side around what happened there. It's wreaked some havoc for them because they got a lot invested in those vortexes being open for their nefarious ritual, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
when you say a long time, are we talking like thousands of years, Janine?
I'm thinking like it's been known about. If time doesn't really work the way we think it does anyway, but it's been known about, I think, for a really long time. Like as karma cards around it, it's forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like a big loop in time. This is a loop. We're going through a loop, I think, and we're back around at this juncture, and we're handling it really well. By the way, I think the good good energy. I think anyway. I feel like we're handling it really well.
In my opinion, that's why the four of us, or the three of us, plus all of our peers, chose to come back at this time, was because for this specific reason, is to help the universe. Now that brings me to another question, Janine, because I watched Mickey Clan, is that her name? You suggested her on Nicholas's episode, The Astronomer. And she talked a lot about Revelation in the Bible. And I had seen stuff about that before that. And as most people know, my channel, I've been going through all the heretical banned gospels, and I've done a lot of deep dives on that. And basically Christianity as we know it is not, the original Christians were very mystical people. Yeah, it's not the same. They did not what they've taught us. And so my question to you, Janine, is through your cards, is this the apocalypse, the lifting of the veil spoken about by the astronomers and the astrologers who wrote the Bible?
So we got a yes, but it clarifies that there's a lot been tampered with the original words.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's been, they've left out a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of pieces left out. But there's a lot of strength in what we can get our hands on if you know where to look. There's a lot of strength in it, but it is missing some crucial parts. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it's a yes. But there's a bunch of pieces missing. So you'd have to be really intuitive to fill in the blanks there.
Yeah. That's what I've kind of figured too. And if there is a website for those who are curious called thenazareneway.com, where they talk a lot about the Council of Nicaea and how they used the pens of correction. And we only got about 60 heavily edited gospels, and they're like 777.
Yeah.
And
that's what it says.
Yeah.
But it says they're coming out. So the cloaked information's coming out. And that's because it's been, I think, unearthed from underneath the Vatican, frankly.
Well, and all these gospels people hid are starting to come up, literally are like coming up in Egypt and the Israel, they're coming up out of the earth, they're being exposed.
Yeah.
So we're learning now. Sorry if that offends people watching, but there's been a lot of corruption within the Christian faith.
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of relearning that has to happen. But from what I see, it's all good stuff. It's all about love. It's all about love and honesty, and it's not hate. It's not about putting people into boxes. So it's all good stuff.
Or guilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Guilt.
In the Gospel of the Holy 12, which is one of those banned gospels, Jesus speaks about reincarnation a lot.
Yeah, totally. So much of our history is missing, and we're going to reclaim who we actually are, and how we're connected to the whole universe, and there's all kinds of energies, living energy.
Yeah.
We're going to find out about.
It's exciting. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, me too.
Bryce, you mentioned, well, two things actually. So, Janine, just following on from that previous thought as well, when you said about the vortex in Egypt.
Yeah.
So the numbers on vortex comes to 104,
which
comes to Jerusalem. President Trump put the embassy back in Jerusalem. Dome of the Rock is there. Dome of the Rock comes to 138, which is also Donald Trump. Reevaluation, Ron DeSantis. Turnstile, which is one of the key points in the film Tenet about time reversal, reverse entropy, but also the pyramids. Also L. Linwood comes to 104, but also Starlink. So this matrix of satellites up there, we've seen satellites falling, and there seems to be a kind of Star Wars going on up there. Star Wars, actually, I think, if I remember rightly, is 119, Nikola Tesla. And I saw you did a bit on Star Wars the other day as well, and Star Trek, which is awesome. And you probably know this, but Star Trek, the symbol of Star Trek, is very similar to Space Force. President Trump has put that in people's front of mind. And you just mentioned reincarnation, Bryce. Reincarnation actually comes to 141, which comes to my name, Tom Bushnell, one of the ways to say it. Also comes to Looking Glass. So Looking Glass, in terms of the white hats, have been using that to be able to future predict or past predict all of this game that's been going on. And Looking Glass is fascinating. And there's also plutonium, which is another key element in Back to the Future, saying you need plutonium and the flux capacitor to change time travel. But then they didn't have it, so they had to use a lightning bolt, a bolt of lightning, etc. But 141, reincarnation. And I'd never really been brought up with reincarnation per se, but in this last year, I've really understood that is highly, I think that's the case. I think we've all had past lives, and part of the Great Awakening is to understand who we were and who others were and what our place was on this big board of life, the big chessboard.
Yeah.
I had a question, and I actually like this question from a viewer. And I actually did see the episode with Michelle Fielding that this viewer is referring to, and I think it's a really good question. And so it might shift it a little bit, but we're looking at I'm trying to figure out how I can say this on YouTube. We're looking at a situation right now that's happening down by Mexico, if you guys know what I'm talking about, here in the United States. What appears to be
the wall.
Well, the situation with the people coming over. And a lot of people are a little freaked out because it's gotten so bad, and we've been told that the good guys are in charge, but it looks like there's some issues happening. But Michelle Fielding brought it up, and my boyfriend's actually said this, and I had somebody ask, is what we're seeing from the media that's happening down there current, or are they showing us old footage to wake people up? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to believe that there are women and children and little, people that have been put in harm's way to prove a point, right? If the good guys are in charge, I don't think they would do that. So, and Michelle Fielding brought it up that this might be.
Well, I did recently, not that maybe 2 weeks ago, looked at that when it was really getting talked about. Mm-hmm. And I did get that it was way overplayed. And it was likely a lot of photo op situations being utilized, just like the the Dems utilized that against Mr. T.
Now it's reversed.
But let's have a look. Like, because you got to check up, maybe it's amped up, who knows, right? But that was a couple of weeks ago, it was looking like that. Okay, so we've got. So something's being utilized. So the situation that the fake Mr. B is pretending to be in charge. Okay, looks like it's being utilized. They're utilizing and allowing something to amp up. So I feel like there is a lot of, this is children.
Mm-hmm.
That's gotten way out of hand. So energies that want to traffic young people, they are absolutely using the lax energy in the place you're talking about.
Yep.
But they're using it to the advantage. So the good guys are utilizing this.
So they're monitoring it and making sure.
They're monitoring it and they're utilizing it. But a lot of the pictures, here's interesting. So, okay, so now that just flipped it. Okay, so the pictures are old. So she's right about that. Michelle's right. She's really good anyway, but she's right about that. So 6. So they're utilizing old pictures of trafficked young people. Okay, and when it was really bad. So it actually just flipped it on me. This isn't current. This isn't current. And we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So they've flipped it on the bad guys. So the bad guys used to utilize those pictures against Mr. T at one point. Now they just took them and flipped it. They love doing that to those guys. They're just flipping the situation. I'm not trying to make light if it is really bad, but I'm actually not getting that. So I don't think they're being entirely honest in the presentation that's happening there. And that's the second time I've got that.
So it's like a controlled demolition and a demolition in a sense to show the people, because as our favorite board says, you can't tell people, you got to show them. It's told, it's learned, you know. So
they're generally aware of, and they got things way more under control than you think.
Yeah.
I think for everything that's happened today, we fully know that they are they are in the driver's seat. all the people leaving today just happen to leave today.
You were ever in doubt.
No, there you go.
One of the guys here in England, President Trump seems very friendly, pally with him. Also another, before I go into that, maybe there's two things we can check. In regards to Piers, I'm wondering if he'll be the one that breaks the story with Diana or gets the first interview. I'm just wondering if that might happen. And Nigel Farage, so he's a UK politician or political figure here in the UK. He was a big part of Brexit. President Trump has referred to him. He's been at rallies. They seem very pally. What are the cards saying in regards to Nigel Farage, where he is on the board? What's his future? How close is he with President Trump, or is that more optics? What's the truth of dear Nigel?
So I did Piers Morgan first.
Please, yeah.
Looking at, is he going to be? So he'd like to be the one, and it's been talked about.
Okay.
But she may end up coming out as an independent, or somehow not necessarily with, she's going to do it on her own steam.
Yes.
I don't feel like she'll have a big journalist by her side or anything for some reason. That's what that looks like. But it's been tossed around, and it was definitely one of the plans.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so, but I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune, so the Wheel of Fortune was around the whole situation. They've changed the plan, which they've been doing a lot. We've been seeing that a lot, where on a dime they have to move it sort of thing. So the second question was about this politician you're talking about. That's kind of
Nigel Farage.
Okay, so what are we asking about him?
Just kind of where he sits on the board. How close is he to President Trump? Is he fully 100% a white hat? Is he Is it optical? Is it, what kind of, where is he on the board?
Tom. I actually follow, he's one of the few British politicians I follow, but I've heard that there may be something weird there. So I'm glad you asked that, Tom, for our English.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure, but I know President Trump and him have spoken a lot. President Trump referred to him a lot in this year of what's been going on. He got him up on one of his rallies in America, got him to speak, and they were very pally on stage, so just wonder what's the reality of Nigel.
Could Nigel be an insider for on the bad guy side? Has he been? Because I feel like he's been on both sides of the fence, or he's a double agent or something. Not to out him, but I guess I just did.
That's what I kind of heard, Janine. Actually, I follow him, but I'd heard that he was maybe not what we think he is on the outside. Yeah,
he's good. He's protected and good, but he's also known in those circles, and he's had a lot of back and forth between both sides. And but I feel like he's actually either come over to the good side or he's working on their side
to get information.
He's got some chums on the other side. So yeah, it's interesting. He's skirting the line pretty interesting. But he looks protected.
That's good.
By the good
so
guy.
Would it be fair to say President Trump is, well, he's fully aware of everything anyway, but is he using him?
Trump knows all about him. He feels perfectly safe with him, so he must trust the guy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So he's more on Trump's side than not right now.
Yeah. I feel like he might have always been, actually, but he's got ways of moving over, which could be really helpful for the good guys. That's the feeling I'm getting.
So he could be a sleeper for President Trump. He's fully with President Trump, but he could infiltrate on the other side. That makes sense. That's kind of what I've been suspecting with him, definitely in the last few months. I wasn't really clear about him before this, but that's what it seems to be. So that's cool.
Now I have kind of a spiritual question to ask you, Janine, and I'm going to try to, and Tom, I'm going to try to figure out how to say this right. So there is a theory that I heard, my boyfriend and I both heard right when the big event of 2020 happened. I'm not talking about the event in the fall of 2020. I'm talking about the big world event that happened.
In March.
Yeah. That there was a attack that had been planned to release something that would annihilate a lot of the human population. However, because a lot of the human population is really polarized positive, a higher entity, whether that be an angel, whatever, stepped in and rearranged the molecules in this certain thing that when it released, it didn't do what they planned for it to do. And that's why all the media kind of panicked, and there was a lot of cognitive dissonance with some people because the numbers weren't matching. And there was just this panic amongst the other side of this game because it wasn't doing what they thought it was. And that theory has come up again as I've started to look back into the Law of One and the raw material. And so I wanted to check with you, Janine, and you, Tom, if you had any, because I know you're familiar, Tom, with the raw stuff, any numbers on that or any thoughts on that?
Okay, I absolutely get you're right.
Okay.
It was way underperforming what they desired it to do. Mm-hmm. Whatever it was designed to do was absolutely underperforming and kicked the whole. That's why things looked so ridiculous in the media. So the media was going ahead talking about it like it was as bad as it was supposed to be, but it really wasn't matching. So then they had to cover their tracks. Like, do you remember there's all of these extra hospital bed sort of locations created that never even got used? Wait till we put a price tag on the spending that was wasted, and all of these hospitals that Jason Goodman was going in New York, was supposed to be decimated. Mm-hmm. And guess what? He'd go to these hospitals and there was nobody in them.
Yeah. I had that experience in Atlanta as well. I had to go to the hospital for an ear thing. Only one. This was last April.
They had to pay off people left, right, and center. All of a sudden, you're absolutely right. It was a shenanigans of backstepping. And so no wonder it was very convenient that everybody was locked down hard. Because we're doing all of this in the background, and anybody that spoke up was ridiculed. And so the lawsuits that are coming out of this are going to be outrageous. They're already started. I get it'll take down whatever's left of any government's going to take it down.
Yeah. So the cards are saying that something now. And the backup question to that was that part of the change in molecules, or I'm trying to figure out how I can say, so that if someone was met this certain thing, for a lot of people, it actually didn't make them leave the earth. It changed their DNA so that they woke up. So there were a lot of people that came into contact with this certain thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And this beer bug.
So it's positive fairy dust.
Exactly. There we go. Right. It's positive fairy dust. It woke people up.
Strategy. So a strategy was put in place to balance out the negative effects.
Okay.
I guess that could, but it didn't work on everybody. Like, it was supposed to wake up way more people, so it didn't work as well as it was they wanted it to either, because the programming is so intact in people. And the bad guys were working so hard overtime on that news media. Do you remember just the freak out? If you even turned on the news, my parents had the news on 24/7. They're really elderly. I'm actually going to see them right after this, first time since all of that. Because they got the, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're so excited they get to see their people again. And I'm just like, okay. But anyway, whatever. I love them. And they think I'm nuts, but they love me anyway. And they're very great parents, by the way. But I'm going there, and we don't get to discuss this. I said, we're not talking about this because we just get in a big fight every time. And it's just a mess. I saw them once actually at Christmas, and it turned into a bit of a unfortunate situation. But anyway, whatever. We're just going to go. I'm bringing my son. It might be, who knows, the last time he sees one of them. Like, they're
Well, that's another. I had heard too, along the same theory. I had heard that the people that did leave this earth because of this, which we know now is a very small number because most of them have comorbidities. They were given, when they were on that precipice of entering into the new dimension, I'm trying to think of how to say this, their guides or whatever gave them a choice. They showed them the new, where they were going to be entering, or they could decide to stay. And a lot of them chose to go into the new world they were entering into, if that makes sense. So some of them were given a choice by their guides, especially if they were positively aligned with the light. So
about half the number of wake ups happened that they wanted, but about the same amount of, it's definitely not as much as they wanted, but on the other side, not nearly as many left the plane as was planned. So that sounds like you're getting
equilibrium.
The story.
Yeah. Is that why it's taken so long for them to do what they're going to do? Is because they're waiting for more people to wake up.
I think in degrees, more and more people are waking up. I'm seeing more viewers, but also seeing more positive comments, more emails of people that used to be asleep who tell me they woke up. I'm seeing more on my Instagrams doubled in the last little bit, and because I'm putting out nonstop memes that people send me, really good ones too. Memes really, so far you can get away with a lot on a meme. So I'm just pumping them out there, and I'm getting more and more comments, like huge amounts of comments on the memes. I never used to. I used to get a lot of flack for those memes. Now they're all agreeing with me. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I share Janine's stuff all the time on my page as well. She posts really good stuff, really good memes, and just straightforward and to the point. And you know, it's caught me. It's just common sense. Like if you just step outside of your house and look around, like you know, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance right now when it comes to reality.
Talking of cognitive dissonance, actually, one word I should put in that I discovered is Isis. So in London, there's a bird statue of Isis, which is it's at Princess Diana's fountain. She's got it's a fountain garden in Hyde Park. Hyde Park, interesting enough, comes to 88, which is Trump, but Isis is 56, which is April, which is light. But a question. We've been talking about this, Bryce, and maybe we're going to ask a question. So hopefully I haven't stolen your thunder on this. But
no, go ahead.
Janine, are we on a flat Earth or a globe or something in between, or does it depend upon people's quantum consciousness?
That one.
What's that?
I stayed away from that just purposely on my channel because it's like we got to worry about. Okay, let's check it out.
Let's check it out.
News. Okay, let's see.
Is it?
What a way to end the conversation.
I know, right?
Let's open it and just leave it. Okay, so. Well, the first thing I'm noticing is it's not as simple as flat or round. It's not as simple. It feels like there could be an in-between situation, if that makes any sense.
It actually does, if you think about the cyclical movement of time and vibrational movement. And
yeah, interesting. So we got the Knight, the Wheel of Fortune, and well, let's just say the way they explain it in our, history / science classes in the past has been all wrong. Flip it around. So it's different, absolutely different than flip everything that you heard in the past, because this is a yes, but it's clarified. So yes, there's truth to what you're saying for sure, but it's clarified by, it's not exactly as simple as it's flat as opposed to round. It's an energy evolving. It feels like it's more mysterious than that because we got the moon part. So it's the whole thing is an illusion. So we're literally living in a created universe, and we're co-creating it with all of our energy and belief held together by the belief of everybody who incarnated together to hang out in this energy. Could be a sphere, or it could be flat. So I don't think they're right or wrong. I don't think, but I think the way we were taught that it literally is this ball spinning, I don't think that's true either by the cards here. It's more of an illusion and more elusive than that. Would
it change on the collective consciousness depending on what everybody believes it to be? Yeah. Would that affect it?
Exactly. So if everybody switched over to, okay, we're going to be flat now, I feel like we'd start seeing the evidence of that. We're creating it.
Okay. Well, we're already seeing two suns. I mean,
I see two suns too.
Yep.
I've got pictures of it. They didn't turn out very good, but I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Were they close together or far apart?
They were right. One was right below the other one. It was literally exactly like the photograph that Gene Decode showed. When he showed it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I saw the exact thing right in front of me about 2 months after he showed that. So recently. And I took a
Would that have been the Stargate? Is it the Stargate? Perhaps?
Well, they say there's another sun behind our sun that's starting to make itself known. And it's a much more healing light.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
And I got that in a reading. And then Gene Decode says it, and then he showed a picture. Like it's just all tumbling out now. We're ready to see it. And that's what this is like. When we're ready to shift our awareness,
the new sun will appear.
It'll be what we think it is, together what we agree as a collective.
Yeah. It's like opening up Pandora's box. Once it's open, you can't close it again. What's my favorite saying? I guess it's a beautiful saying. My favorite one is, maybe it was Charlie Ward who said this. I can't remember. You can't put the shit back into the horse.
That was probably Charlie Ward.
Well, you can't put the shit back into the horse once
That's
it's done.
brilliant, Charlie.
Yeah, I might have been Charlie hears it, but I was like, that is a way better way of talking about Pandora's box. You can't put the shit back into the horse.
Yeah.
But and Jason Q has talked about that with the crystal sun, and we look at Mr. Maybe I should call him Dr. Gates, since that's what Google calls him.
Oh my goodness.
To cover the sun, we need the sun. We need the sun to live, and I don't think sunscreen is actually good for you. I think
no way. They've been lying to us about everything. Absolutely.
we need it. The animals need it. The plants need it. We all need it to live on this, this whatever this is we're living on.
How come vitamin D is one of the best things? I've been taking vitamin D since the minute this thing all exploded in March of last year. And it's the one thing that's been proven is really a good safeguard against it. So what is that? Sunshine?
Sunshine, yeah. Oh, there was, when I spent a long time in London, actually, when I was younger, and it's growing up down here in the South, this is the Sun Belt. So I'm used to being hot all the time and getting a lot of sun as a kid playing outside. And when I spent a lot of time in London, actually, I was diagnosed with my first seasonal affective disorder.
Oh, sure.
Because all of a sudden I had been used to having vitamin D on a regular basis. And then I went from not having it all the time, and I could literally feel the effects of it, of not having that sunshine. So yeah, we need the sun, guys, especially for your immune system. Like, get outside and get the fresh air, get your sunshine. Tom's gonna just have to come over to America to get more sunshine.
Get some more sun. I had a great tan actually last year. As soon as Boris said, "Oh, you can only go out once a day," I was out for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So I had a nice tan.
Yay!
That's kind of gone again, you know.
You can't tell me what to do.
Exactly. And then I started going out whenever I wanted anyway, you know. But I was like, right. And I had the exact reverse effect upon me. I was out more than I ever would be.
Good.
So
I think that's a lot of us truthers. We live right by Piedmont Park, and Atlanta is the city in the trees. There's lots of greenery here, and there's like a forest in Piedmont Park, and we'll be out with our dog because we had to take him out even during the really intense part. And I would see people like covered in the middle of the trees, and I'm like, this is first grade stuff. The trees clean the air for us. Take the freaking cover off and go breathe by a tree. Like,
so embarrassing, actually. I'm just embarrassed for humanity sometimes. I'm just like, get your mask off in the fresh air. What are you doing? Right? I get it. If you're not confrontational, you're going to wear it in your shopping center. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's the rule and you're not the type to buck the rules, and that's fine. Okay, because I kind of play it by ear. If I know the place, I could get away with it, right? Because I don't really like a big confrontation either. But oh boy, the second I get it, the minute I'm coming,
just say you're exempt.
It's just silly. Why would you wear it in the fresh air?
Well, I'll tell anybody listening from Atlanta, I was at the grocery store the other day, and I heard the little old ladies that work at the checkout that help you and greet you. I heard them talking to each other that they have a sign up for a covering, but they don't say anything if someone walks in without it. So if you're in Atlanta, they're going to let you just go on. They don't care. So they're probably awake too. So all right, Janine, I know you have to get off to your parents. And we'll schedule something for next time too, guys. Send us more questions because so much is happening right now. So if you're in Atlanta area, go to Piedmont Park. You see I posted it on my community page. Somebody spray painted a big number 16+1 with the date that Mr. Ward had given us with the Nasara. So if you're in Piedmont Park, go check it out because there are more of us awake than people even know. So we're all in this together.
In closing, Bryce, you said about when it goes on my channel, it's okay. 17, I say it a lot, but so 17. So you do the numbers for 17. 17, the word 17 comes to 109, which comes to Diana Spencer.
Wow.
And she was the first part with one of the first things at the beginning of this in March with the whole understanding the numbers. Which also comes to Zapruder, comes to my channel Site Club, comes to Saturday as well. And Janine was saying, April 10th might be something quite interesting, and that's a Saturday night, Back to the Future, So
A lot of cool
yeah, it's a great time to be alive.
So
yeah,
it's like Christmas Eve.
Yeah. And we got it here. Look, 17.
Yep, 17. If they're watching, we're really ready.
We're ready.
We've been ready.
We're ready.
So, all right,
everyone just has to wake up.
Yes, please wake up. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Friday. I should have this video up by this evening, Eastern Standard Time. So thank you so much, Janine and Tom. We will do this again very, very soon. And thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, bro.